Welcome to our e-learning courses. Today I am going to present two important aspects of agricultural economy. One is agriculture finance and the other is agriculture marketing. Agriculture is the backbone of our Indian economy. If we look at the contribution of agriculture towards rural development, towards GDP share, towards international trade, towards employment generation, food security, in all respects, agriculture plays an important role. But the problem is agriculture faces many crises in India. In this context, I am going to focus on two important issues. One is agriculture finance and the other is agriculture marketing. Agricultural finance has been defined by different economists in a different way. But if we consider the simple way of defining agriculture finance, it is just to provide agriculture services to the farmers who are trying to improve their agricultural activities. Indian farmers are really poor. They do not have enough money to purchase seeds, fertilizers, equipments, and to organize some irrigational facilities. That is a big issue. And in this respect, agriculture finance plays an important role. Now, if we look at the economic importance of agriculture finance, it is acting as the catalytic factor which influence the agricultural production by large amount. It is basically a lever acting both in a positive and the forward and linkages impacts to increase the agricultural production. By large investment in the agriculture sector, it increases the volume of production, which helps to increase the farmer's income and ultimately reduces the income inequality and overall reduction in the rural poverty. Now, agricultural finance and marketing both are important not just to increase the productivity and the consumption. It is helpful to increase the overall economic growth as well as development. Now, if we look at the classification of the agricultural finance, then we can divide this agricultural finance on the basis of two aspects. One with respect to time and another with respect to the need. If we consider the time factor, then this agriculture finance can be of three types: short term, medium term, and the long term. Short term loans are needed to purchase the seeds, fertilizers, and the wage payment for the hired workers. And these type of loans or credits are provided by the cooperatives and the money lenders for less than 15 months. Again, if we consider the medium-term loans, then these loans are needed to purchase cattle and to repair the dug well, tube well, etc. And these type of loans are provided by the money lenders, commercial banks, relatives, cooperatives. Now we come to the concept of long-term credit. These credits are needed for the permanent improvement of the land productivity as well as the old debt repayment and the construction of tube well, dug well, etc. And these loans are given by primary, cooperative, rural and agriculture development banks for more than 5 years. Now we come to the rural credit on the basis of need. These can be categorized in three heads. One is productive needs, unproductive needs, and the consumption needs. Productive needs are required for the purchase of fertilizers, seeds, agricultural equipments, for the construction of dug wells, irrigational facilities, and so on. These are called productive in the sense that it will create productive return in future to the rural farmers. Now, if we talk about the unproductive needs, these are basically unproductive because these credits are needed to fulfill some unproductive needs. For example, social obligations, to meet up the social obligations, marriage, social, religious functions and festivals. These are unproductive because they do not provide any productive return in future to the rural farmers. Again, our Indian rural farmers are very poor. They do not sustain themselves, for they need agricultural credit for the consumption purposes. Now, all these agricultural finances can be financed by different sources, and all these sources can be clubbed into two heads. One is non-institutional sources, another is institutional sources. Non-institutional sources played very important and significant role over the years, particularly beginning in the 5-year plan. In 1951, if you look, that 92.7% of the agricultural credit was financed by non-institutional sources. But with the bank nationalization, along with lead bank scheme in 1969, and thereafter the establishment of NABARD, that is National Bank for Rural and Agriculture and Rural Development Bank, established in 1982, the importance of the non-institutional sources gradually declines. Now, if we consider the non-institutional sources, it has both merits and demerits. That is, it has both advantages and disadvantages. Advantages are, it is very easy to access this type of loan. No formal procedures, no formal timings are needed to get some loans. Farmers can move any time, even in the midnight, to the money lenders to get some loans for fulfill their needs. So, these type of advantages is attractive for the farmers for getting loans from the non-institutional sources. Again, no restrictions is imposed towards the use of the loans. But if we look at the disadvantages side of these non-institutional sources, that is dangerous. Why? Because this type of loan leads to the rural farmers finally in a debt trap and committed towards suicide. Huge amount of exploitations are there, and the bonded labor is the ultimate form of these non-institutional sources, particularly for the marginal and the small farmers. And if you look at the interest rate, exorbitant interest rate is charged for non-institutional sources. So in this way, rural farmers are being exploited by the non-institutional sources. Now we consider the institutional sources. I have already mentioned that with the nationalization of bank, along with the lead bank scheme and the establishment of NABARD, reduces the importance of non-institutional sources over the years. That's why in recent times the share of non-institutional sources increases. Commercial banks, regional rural banks, cooperative societies, government, land development banks have been playing a major role towards providing such institutional sources. The main motive of such institutional sources is to increase the productivity vis-a-vis income of the rural people, so that the dependency on the non-institutional sources can be eliminated gradually. Now, if we look at the rural cooperative institutions, then this is the best and cheapest source of rural credit. Easy and timely flow of capital helps a lot for the rural mass. Now, these societies having 3-tier structure. In tier 1, that is at the village level, there is PACS, that is primary agricultural cooperative societies. And in the second tier, that is the district level, there is DCCBs, that is district central cooperative banks. And in the upper tier, that is at the state level, there is SCB, that is state cooperative banks. Now come to the commercial bank. Unfortunately, till 1950, commercial banks did not play any vital and significant role towards supplying the agricultural finance. That is, they did not play any role to help the farmers through providing financial services through agricultural finance. And it is after the realization of Rural Banking Inquiry Committee in 1950, they recommend that commercial banks should come forward for providing loans to the rural masses, rural farmers. And after banks' nationalization, commercial banks raises their helping hand, both in the form of medium-term and short-term loans for agriculture development to the rural farmers. Next come to the land development banks. These banks are generally providing loans for long-term basis, more than 15 to 20 years, against the mortgage of their land for its permanent improvement. And it also helped to repay the old debt, and also helping to purchase the new agricultural implements. And these banks having two tier at the primary level, that is village level, that is PLDBs, primary land development banks, and the state level, there is SLDBs, that is state land development banks. Now, next is RRB, regional rural banks. As per the recommendations of the working group on rural banking, chaired by M. Narasimham, RRBs, that is regional rural banks, were established in the year of 1975. One of the important functions of such RRBs is to improve the socio-economic conditions of the backward and the tribal areas, opening new schemes for financial inclusion, facilitating the microcredit, etc. And the last is government. Government plays an important role in providing the agriculture credit. And the loans that is provided by the government, popularly called Takavi loans, and these loans are given during the emergencies and distress like famine and flood. So, we have mentioned so many institutional sources like cooperative societies, regional rural banks, land development banks, commercial banks, governments. And I have already mentioned that over the recent years, the contribution of the share of such institutional sources increases. That is good. But there are so many limitations of these institutional sources also. These are, first of all, you have to maintain good formalities towards getting these loans. And that is impossible for the rural illiterate people or farmers to maintain those formalities. Second is the collateral securities. That is also impossible for the rural farmers who do not have any proper records of their properties and the land. Again, political interference, corruption, red tapeisms are also there. And one important point to be noted here that these institutional sources generally provide productive rural credit. That is only for productive purposes. But rural poor farmers, they also need unproductive rural credit to meet up their social obligations. And that's why they rely on the money lenders. Now, we talk about another important bank in the agricultural field, that is NABARD, National Bank for Rural and Agriculture Development. This is basically an apex body established in the year 1982. And if we look at the objectives of this bank, these banks, number one, trying to supplying necessary refinances towards agriculture development to the through the cooperative banks. Secondly, coordinating the all financial institutions who are involved in the supply of rural credit in the agriculture sector. And lastly, granting medium-term and long-term loans for the agricultural development through commercial banks and cooperatives. Now, this Apex Bank performs so many functions for the agricultural development. Now we can club these all functions under three heads. Number one is development and promotional functions. Number two is credit function. And number three is supervising function. If we look at the development and promotional function, this bank administers the research and developmental funds in view of agricultural research activities in the field of agriculture, and it provides loans for infrastructure development. It supports through financial assistance for conducting different training activities organized by different training institutions. And if we look at the credit functions, this NABARD generally provides refinance facilities for promoting agriculture development. And being the apex body, it supervises and regulates all the activities of different financial institutions. In 1992, NABARD launched SHG, that is Self-Help Group Bank Linkage scheme, to improve the banking habits and the saving habits of the rural people. In 1998-1999, NABARD launched the Kishan Credit Card scheme to facilitate the short-term credit needs of the farmers. Over the years, different initiatives of NABARD have touched millions of rural lives across India. Now, we come to our next topic, that is agricultural marketing. Agricultural marketing is a series of activities that is involved in moving goods from the point of production to the point of consumer. That is from the producer, primary producer, that is farmer, to the buyers. But our Indian economy is facing a lacking of proper agricultural marketing mechanism system. Due to this, rural farmers are getting only 40 to 50% of the price that is paid by the ultimate users, that is buyers. So, we need to develop the agricultural marketing system in a proper way. Agricultural farmers are facing distress selling. Why? Because of lacking of proper storage facilities, because of the lacking of proper transport facilities, because of the proper information availability. So all these are compelled to farmers to sell their products just after the harvesting, where the price is very low. Farmers, rural farmers do not have the liberty to wait for the market price to rise when they can sell their products and make some profits. And this is not happening primarily due to the lacking of proper agricultural marketing system. Now, if we look at the objectives of the agricultural marketing system, then we can say that here we are trying to enable primary producers, that is farmers, to get the best possible return. This is number one. Number two, we are trying to reduce the price differences as it happens in the agriculture sector, that I have already mentioned, that the price that is received by the rural farmers is much lower than the price that is paid by the ultimate consumers. Next, we are trying to motivate the producers through price incentives, and also trying to make available the agricultural products from the farm origin to the consumers at reasonable prices without compromising the quality of the products. So, the defects that I have already mentioned, that defects in the agricultural marketing systems are enormous with respect to the storage facilities, with respect to the transport facilities, with respect to the proper information, with respect to the dominance of intermediaries, distress selling, lack of sufficient information, and inadequate grading and standardization. So, these are the major defects of Indian agricultural system. So, what we observe from this discussion, that if we do not provide any systematic agricultural marketing mechanism system, then farmers will not get benefit from their agricultural production. So, agricultural marketing system in a scientific way should be there. Government has taken several measures to improve this agricultural marketing mechanism. First of all, government have launched subsidized transport facility systems. For the storage facilities, government provides warehousing facilities, and to disseminate the information relating to the agricultural products and their respective prices, government relays information through print media and electronic media. Again, regulated market mechanisms were ensured by the government so that the government can provide the fair price system. At the same time, minimum support pricing system has launched. So, government has tried the best so that the rural farmers can get the benefits from their agricultural produce. Now, with respect to the quality, the gradation and standardization of the products, the egg mark shows the excellence of the product. At the same time, different product laws passed by the government, and ICT-based e-portal that is launched for making smooth and transparent marketing of the agricultural produce. Agricultural Produce Market Committee, APMC, is a marketing board established by the state governments in India following two principles. Number one, to ensure that farmers are not exploited by the moneylenders or intermediaries who compel farmers to sell their products at the farm gate for an extremely low price. This is number one. And number two is all food produce should first be brought to a market near and then sold through auction. The Electronic Market Pilot National Agricultural Market, or ENAM, across India was launched on 14th April 2016 to ensure smooth and transparent marketing of the agricultural produce. The market provides the farmers, traders, and buyers with an online trading platform for agricultural commodities. Ministry of Agriculture has launched in March 2000, the Information of and Communication Technology based Central Sector Scheme of Agricultural Marketing Information Network to link important agricultural produce markets located across the country. The portal provides various useful information, both static and dynamic, relating to agricultural marketing in India. And all the old measures and weights system were removed in 1960. The matrix system has been introduced to prevent corruption associated with the measurement of weights. The minimum support price system has been designed to ensure the farmers, so that farmers are getting the fair price even when the market is not in favorable condition, so that they can adopt new technologies for maximum utilization of the resources. A number of warehouses and cooperative credit societies were established under the supervision of National Cooperative Development Warehousing Board NCDWB in order to facilitate the agricultural marketing system. And the National Agricultural Cooperative Federation of India Limited, NAFED, was founded on 2nd October 1958 as an apex organization of marketing cooperatives for agricultural produce in India to promote the trade of agricultural produce across the nation. And government is encouraging the formation of cooperative marketing system to help the farmers fetch better price for their agricultural produce.